Hello, Blood Bowl fans. I'm sitting down again for another Tutor Talks, and this time I have Mint, aka Pixxiedust, aka Lilica. I think they're the three names that you use anyway. He is the tutor who is designated for dwarves and Nurgle. Hello, sir. How are you today?
I am good.
Good. It's good to sit down and talk to you finally, and especially after finally playing a game with you. So, would you like to introduce yourself briefly?
Sure. I've got three names because I've got a different name for Steam, Discord, and Blood Bowl. But for the most part, I'll just go by Pixxiedust. It tends to be the name I use the most.
Okay.
And I think some of this gets into the first question, but basically I like Blood Bowl because it's a strategy game, and I like to think I'm smart, and if I can beat somebody in a smart way, it kind of, validates my thought that I'm smart, or makes me realize I'm not, which has been more the case as I'm learning Blood Bowl 2.
Yeah, I think a lot of us suffer from that problem, to be honest. But yeah, that's a nice little thing. So, how did you get into Blood Bowl? Did you play the old game or with tabletop?
Yeah, actually, Blood Bowl was the first Games Workshop game I ever played. It was my first experience with it. I was a comic collector, and I saw the second edition Blood Bowl game in the store, and I think I may have had a friend with me at the time, and it looked like a fun game, so we got it, and then I got my three best friends into playing it, and then we naturally moved on to Blood Bowl 3rd edition, which is basically what we're playing in Blood Bowl 2.
Mm-hmm.
It came out about 20 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And we also got into basically all the other Games Workshop games at that time as well.
It's interesting that you did it in the opposite way. That's quite unusual to hear. So that's quite fascinating. And when you're playing the other tabletop games, is that where you kind of fell in love with Nurgle, or did you fall in love with Nurgle playing the tabletop itself?
I never played. I actually played Dark Elf originally, and I never really played. Well, my second season I played Dwarf, so I guess I am a little bit of the bash. But I started playing Nurgle because of Dwarf. I hated the idea of Claw, making my tough, can't knock down dwarves go down, and so I thought to myself, well, if I want to be Bash, I want to play the King of Bash, which would be a well advanced Nurgle team.
I see. That makes a lot of sense. So you're actually down as I think you're down as one of the best Bash coaches. I think that's one of the monikers you've been given. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
I think I like system mastery. So, and I think Bash is the easiest one to master first. And so, and I just get so upset when I get out agility'd with Elf, because I feel like an Elf team should win every time they hit the pitch, and when I don't, I'm like, screw this. I can't pick up the ball anyways with Elf. I might as well play Dwarf if I can't even do simple things like pick up the ball. So it more comes down to me trying to master the system, and I feel I have a better chance starting out that with Bash teams.
Okay, that's a strangely common theme amongst the coaches here. I think we've all been saying basically that we don't play elves because when it goes wrong, it hurts more. So it's interesting that you're saying the same thing. Do you have a favorite between the two, Nurgle and Dwarf?
I'm not sure I do, to be honest. I kind of got back to, I had such fun, we'll call it, trying to qualify in the Cabal Champions Ladder with Nurgle, that I went back to playing some Dwarf, and I have a much, obviously speaking, but I've got a much better win record with Dwarf. It took me 11 teams to finally get 11 tries with Nurgle to finally be like, screw this. Well, I play one Dwarf team, and I think I have like an 8-3-2 record or something silly.
Mm-hmm. That's
so, and then I play Dwarf in my tabletop league that I joined, and it's just, I find if you're trying to be a perfectionist, I think Dwarves are a great team to play for someone who's trying to avoid making any mistakes, because it's a fairly straightforward game plan. Even though defense is where the Dwarves struggled the most, in my opinion, it's still a fairly straightforward game plan. Sort of like when you play the extremes, like Wood Elf would be the extreme example of agility, and Dwarf in some cases could be seen as extreme example of Bash. Your idea of what you're trying to do is very clear. With elves, you're wanting to not be, unless you're an Aryan, you're wanting to not be in base. You're trying to avoid hits as much as possible. While in Dwarf, you're really just trying to slow Scorely.
Sure.
Did I say that wrong? Scorely, slow. Wait, no. Slow Scorely. Yeah, I said it right.
Yeah, okay, to score slowly. Yeah, I see. Well, that kind of leads into the next question then. So when you're playing Dwarves and when you're playing Nurgle, you can do it in whichever order you want. What do you think is the basic strategy playing these two teams?
Protect the ball and don't allow the other team to stall for 6+ turns and score.
You'd say that for both teams, or for Dwarves specifically?
I'd say exactly for both teams. They're both slow teams that have trouble recovering, or if they get out of position. They have a lot of trouble unless they're controlling the pitch.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there are any differences in the strategy between the two teams then?
I think you can throw your weight around a little more, say, with a Nurgle team. And actually you have a little bit more speed to deal with, and a little bit better protection if you get out of a little better, out of position protection with the Pestigors, because they can save anything with just a simple blitz.
Sure. That makes a lot of sense. And what about dealing with the Beast? Because the Beast is where a lot of people struggle with Nurgle, I think. How do you... Yeah, go on. That's the question.
The key with the Beast is never count on the Beast to succeed. Never make your hit with the Beast essential to what you're trying to do for that turn. Sometimes you get, what's the word? Sometimes you have to, and that's fine. But when you're making the Beast hit an essential piece to your strategy for that turn, you're going to feel bad a lot. What I do like to do is, if I already have the field in good position and I do have a chance to pull off something spectacular at the Beast, I'll definitely go for it. Because it can really put a wrench in someone's plan when they get the Beast on the ball or something silly like that.
Sure. I think that happens in this game, actually, that's in the background. But yeah, okay. Sure enough. Okay, that's good. And do you think that Nurgle or Dwarf are the team that you're best at playing, or do you think you're better with other teams?
I just looked, and I've got a really sick record with High Elf. But Dwarf I've got a very good record with too. So probably my best win records would be those two. But the issue with Nurgle is I've never really got a team over 1,500 TV. That's pretty much my issue in general, which I'm trying to work on, is to play some more games and get some high-level gameplay. And Nurgle doesn't really start to shine until it gets into the 1,700 to 1,800 team values.
Sure. Well, if we go back just one step again to the strategy then, how do you deal with low TV Nurgle compared to high TV Nurgle?
What I try to do in low TV Nurgle is play pretty much as conservative as I possibly can. I used to even do things where I'd be very centralized with my defense, but in the backfield. Like, there was one game I played where I think I had a line of 6 players, just in a vertical line, in defense, just to try to anticipate and be able to go where they went, because the last thing I wanted to do was be on the wrong side of the pitch when they made a move. I've tried to get away from that a little bit while keeping in mind the whole theory of you really need to be able to go to each side very effectively, especially against a fast team.
Yeah, okay. That makes perfect sense. All
It
right.
also prevents the stall. It's harder to stall when the other team can get to everywhere.
Sure. That's definitely true. You have a good point there. Moving on then, when we're talking about, let's do dwarves first, then we'll do Nurgle to keep it nice and tidy. So starting with dwarves, who do you think are the key pieces in a dwarf setup?
I really liked having an experienced line, an experienced Longbeard line that has guard and mighty blow, and it's just a like a meat grinder in there, just grinding the other team's line, because that's a relatively safe. It's a relatively safe place, and if you can control that and just grind them down, then you're in a good place. It's definitely important to have a killer, to have someone you can block with every turn, either a troll slayer or a blitzer. It's generally the piece most people do with it. It's generally that piece. You want to have one piece with mighty blow early on that just hits every single turn.
Yeah, okay, that makes perfect sense. Because, yeah, dwarves are all about attrition, basically. How to attrition the opponent. Yeah, I'd agree entirely. I'm down as a dwarf expert as well, apparently, for some reason. Yeah, I'd agree with you there. Do you think there's a weak link in the dwarf team?
It's definitely their speed.
Yeah.
Definitely the speed. I used to think it was claw, but I've started to realize if you get overly scared of claw, then you already lost. But it's definitely their speed. They sometimes have trouble scoring if they get the ball kicked to them first with a full defense, and they sometimes will have trouble stopping a person from taking 8 turns to score against them.
That's very true. Movement is definitely their weak link. I meant more, though, when I said that, I mean a piece in the team. So, for example, the runner, the troll slayer, etc. Do you think there's a weak link?
The troll slayer can be a weak link. He's a bash piece that has the lower armor, and I've started only playing with one.
Oh, really?
On most of my teams now.
That's interesting.
I'm an avid watcher of streamers, especially Jimmy Fantastic when it comes to his dwarf strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And he only plays with one troll slayer, and I've seen some reasons why. It's definitely a liability in the bash versus bash matchup, or even like an elf team, they're probably going to have a mighty blow blitzer of some kind, and who are they going to target? They're going to target your troll slayer every time.
Sure. I think there's just adding to that a little bit. Sorry, I think there's actually a second thing with the troll slayer. I think frenzy is actually a problem on the dwarf side because it's very easy to get outpositioned as a troll slayer, whereas the other pieces are exactly where you want them to be all the time. So
I can definitely buy that. Also, the one thing about a troll slayer, which is great though, is one of the reasons why some of us play Blood Bowl is when we're playing against someone less experienced, we really get to dominate a little bit, and it's fun to serve half the other person's team.
Yeah,
So
sure.
it's a little bit of a this or that when you come with the troll slayer.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Okay, and moving on to Nurgle with the same question then. Who do you think is the key piece in the Nurgle team, or key pieces?
I think it switches. Starts out being a skilled pestigore, and then it moves to once you get a warrior, mighty blow, claw, block. Once you get those going, the warriors just become your meat grinders, and they just become your most favorite piece ever, at least for me.
Fair enough. And do you think there's a weak link in the team?
I used to think it was the rotters, and just because rotter deaths is a real thing. I've played games where every single one of my rotters is no longer is a loner. Especially in a super heavy bash environment like the cable vision open ladder, where they just die. They just die, or they get irreparable injuries, and it's important not to early on just think that they're line fodder when, in my opinion, in most situations, an unskilled warrior is a way better marking piece than a rotter that there's a good chance he's just not going to make it through the game.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. It's a big debate, I think, between the Rotter and Chaos Warrior as the block piece, but I see your argument. I'm more in the other camp, to be honest, but I can see the point there, and I take your word as, of course, the expert here, not me. I'm not very big on Nurgle.
Oh no, it's clearly up for debate. I'm pretty sure either the Sage or Jimmy Fantastic or both, they will use the depending on the matchup, they will go with the unskilled warrior as a line piece more though. Yeah, and sure. That's where I picked it up from.
No, I can see the argument both sides, so I'm not saying that I'm not arguing with you, actually. I agree with you.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine. That's good. So let's move on to the next point then. You've already kind of covered this, but we'll go through it in a bit of detail. So when talking about a dwarf lineup, what do you think are some key level ups for the team?
Guard.
Guard, yeah.
Guard, and it's important to have a good mix of guard and mighty blow with preference towards guard.
Sure. I'd agree with
yeah. There are some arguments the other way for you skill up faster with mighty blow, but I mean you're gonna skill up pretty fast anyway since you already have block.
Yeah.
So I would say definitely get your guard. And I've had some people who have straight up told me on my super heavy mighty blow dwarf teams that I would be way more scary with guard. But then again, they were telling me that with 5 injuries on their side and nobody on the pitch when the game ended. So, you got to take it either way.
No, I agree with you, actually. I think guard is more important than mighty blow early on. But that's fine. And other pieces?
I would still put the first piece I get, though, I'd probably put mighty blow on just so every turn I can be hitting with mighty blow. And then after that, I'd go guard.
Yeah, sure, a couple makes sense, but there's nothing worse than an all mighty blow, nothing else on a team, I find, so I kind of agree on that in that regard. Sure. And other pieces in the dwarf setup?
I think kickoff return is a very handy skill to grab. I would still go block first, but I would definitely grab kickoff return, and I would think about leader on the runners. And unless they get skill ups, you really want to be careful with putting all your star player points on those runners. Yeah. But they can be nasty with movement, agility, dodge.
Yeah, any kind of double or stat up, yeah. Okay. Out of interest, because you haven't mentioned him, do you use the Death Roller at all?
I have, and I actually have had decent success with it. I usually get rid of it though the moment it completely screws me and takes a win away from me, and then I'm like, screw you, Death Roller.
Fair enough.
I had one with block on my last team, and the issue with big guys in general is they can make matches you're probably going to win anyways, just a complete win, and then they can make matches that are really tough against a skilled opponent less likely to win. So you always gotta weigh that into the calculation.
Yeah, it's always the argument, isn't it? If I take him, I hate the fact I took him. If I don't take him, then I hate the fact I didn't take him, kind of thing.
Yeah, but more experienced coaches are going to deal with big guys way better than a noob. If you're playing a noob, you can make a game you're probably going to win into one you're almost certainly going to win. And so there is some validity to that.
Yeah, I'd agree. If you know that you're up against some newish players, then I can see bigger value to the big guy, sure. But yeah, like you say, experienced coaches can deal with them. Yeah, exactly. Okay. And I think we've covered... what about the blitzers in the dwarf team? What would you give them?
Typically, they're my hitters. I've heard an argument for having your longbeards be your hitters because they already have tackle. But typically, if they get a skill up, they can be more... I've even had them as secondary ball carriers with agility. But hitters are also a great movable guard. There is an argument to put Mighty Blow on one, guard on the other, or to just make them guard pieces and have your 12 Slayer be your main hitter. So either hitters or movable guard is what I do with them, and they're great when they get attributes, movement, agility, strength. I have a strength 4 one on my tabletop team, and I rolled doubles after that, and I was almost certainly going to put dodge, but then I changed my mind, and I put guard on him, and I think that was the right move. Combine him with some more guard, and I pretty much got the unstoppable dwarf line right there, mobile dwarf line.
Funnily enough, Sorry, go on.
Yeah, so yeah, it's definitely up for debate, and I change my mind on what I want to do with them all the time. Generally, though, I do use them as hitters. I'll have one Slayer and one Blitzer that are my Mighty Blow piling on pieces.
Okay. So when talking about Slayers as well, you say you only take the one. So that one that you take, it's a kill piece, is it?
Definitely a kill piece. It's your best hitter. It's already got Frenzy. It's probably the one you're going to be trying to get your block off with every turn.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. And funnily enough, though, going back to that with the Strength 4 Blitzer, I actually have one on my team as well. I had the exact same situation. I rolled doubles and left it alone. I took guard instead as well. So we went snap on that decision.
You might have been, or I know I put it up for like every discussion board, so I got a lot of advice on what to do with that, with that Blitzer, and you may have even been part of that.
It's plausible. I'm not sure, to be honest, but it's definitely plausible. I usually respond when people ask something, so fair enough. And same question for Nurgle then. What do you think are some essential skill-ups for the Nurgle team?
I go block until I get what I consider a good amount of block, maybe at least 6 block, and then I think about diverging there. I have gone a route where I take one warrior or one Pestigore and give a Mighty Blow first to help them skill, and I just hate it. I feel that piece, like I never want to hit with that piece, and I just feel that I'm much more of a conservative coach. I'm going to take those 2 die hits with block first, and eventually someone's going to get Mighty Blow that way. It might be a little slower, and I might be a little naive in that, because all these streamers and pro people say get at least one dude that you fast track, and it just never worked out for me, so I just said screw it. And then definitely I like to get, well, I guess you asked me what's the piece, but I'll go through the whole thing because I think it's cool.
Go for it.
I like to have 2 warriors with guard pieces, block guard, and then I like to have 2 warriors as killers. And I also like to play 2 pest as killers and then 1 pest as a ball carrier. And I've never taken a team far enough to have to decide what to do with the 4th Pestigore. But I tend to go the strategy, give them all block first, and then the first one that gets doubles or a stat increase, make him the ball carrier.
That makes sense. I just saying very quickly, having this game that you're watching in the background, anybody who's watching, the block team is very difficult to deal with, so it's a good strategy, I can tell you that much. That's good. And what about the Beast and the Rotters if they survive?
I like to make the Beast a guard piece. I definitely take I don't know if I definitely take Trend Strength if I got it. Block is very awesome if you get doubles. I typically go the guard stand firm without doubles.
Sure.
And I would take a strength or block if they came to me.
That makes sense. So you use it mostly as a roadblock piece.
I like it as a roadblock. You definitely want to support. You don't, like in the game we played, you saw the Beast went in there unsupported, but that was because I failed a block right after I moved the Beast. You do want to support the Beast, so guard is great if you got it on a supporting warrior and the Beast, and it's in a key spot, and it just really makes people's life miserable.
Yeah, I must admit you were very good at moving the Beast, actually. It was another thing I was struggling with in the game, so I'll give you that. Without much. What about a Rotter, if it survives? What do you give a Rotter?
Early on, I give it block. Later on, I'd give it dirty player. I really am not much of a fouler, but I understand they're cheap pieces, and fouling is a key part of the game. But essentially, fouling is really good if you're already winning the game. Yeah. And it can be good as a counter piece, but it's a tricky situation, and most of the time you're probably better off not fouling. You're either going to lose field position, or you've got, in most cases, about the same chance of being sent off as them. And numbers tend to be a thing, so it's, I've seen teams use it very effectively, and I've seen that very rarely happen with me.
Yeah, there are. I know a couple of coaches in the league who are very good at fouling. Urban Zorro is a good example, but he only does it with the right team. But I agree with you, actually. Fouling is usually a hindrance, not a help. As you say, because of position.
Yeah, and it all depends on the skill. I think it's a very, very skill dependent situation. The really good coaches will know when to foul at the right times and how to use it, and bad coaches will do the opposite.
Well, yeah, basically, if you're making fouling your main game plan, you're failing. But if it's part of your game, then it's probably useful.
I think the first Blood Bowl championship won by Ducky, though. He played a Brett team, which probably explains a lot.
Yeah.
He won it, and he was known for trying to foul every single turn. So it's very team dependent, I think, too.
Yeah, in Bretonians, it's a very viable strategy. I agree, but generally speaking, I'm on your side. If positioning is more important, then fouling is less important, basically.
Yeah, and for me, positioning is probably key.
Yeah, and same
to my strategy.
And same here, but that's fine. Good. Moving on then. What teams do you think are good matchups for dwarves?
I always get happy when I see Skaven or Elf or any low armor team.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Norse, I always feel happy when I see a Norse team, but then I always get pissed when every time I do a hit, they don't get lost off the field. It's always like, what is happening? But I get happy when I see any low armor value team. That's my happiest.
Okay. And what teams do you think are bad for the dwarves?
I struggle the most with early matchups with lizards. I just feel like they've got strength on me and they have movement on me, and it's just like if I go chasing after skinks, I'm already dead.
Yeah.
And it's just a tough situation. I think you'll see I have a draw on my Nurgle team in the Steel League. A draw. It's a draw? Yeah, it's a draw. Against a lizard team, and it's just a scary matchup. I guess if I played him more, I'd be a little better at it, but I just never know what to do against the lizard team.
Sure thing. And same question for Nurgle then. What's a good matchup and what's a bad matchup for a Nurgle team?
I'm finding out the Kimmy matchup is actually not a bad matchup at all. Versus Nurgle. I played you, and then I played a game against Varkson yesterday, and the same basic thing happened. I guess I did get lucky both games with injury rolls, which definitely turned the matches in my favor very early. But I just feel they don't really have the speed to exploit you, and you've got the strength to push where you need to, when you need to, and not get tied down by the Tomb Guardians. You sometimes can control them a little more than they can control you.
Yeah. Yeah, go on.
And I definitely also don't like the Lizard matchup with Nurgle, especially at an early level where I can't punish the what do you call the sources?
The Saurus, yeah, okay. Yeah, the Lizard is a bad matchup for anybody, to be honest. The only team I feel comfortable playing Lizards with is Orcs. Anything else, I don't feel good. Going back to the Nurgle v Khemri thing though, basically everything that Khemri wants to do, Nurgle is doing as well. So Nurgle is actually the better team on paper in this matchup, generally speaking. Especially with the extra armor value as well.
And I always tell myself I'm going to ignore the Tomb Guardians and just try to go skelly hunting.
Yeah.
But typically it doesn't happen that way, and I have to take a few of the big dudes down. But it's not too hard. You just put a few assists on, and you're okay.
Yeah, that's basically how it works. Yeah, and if you can move them out of position, then great. So, which again was something
Also,
you're good at.
yeah, in the game against you, I went for a 1-die block with a first move of the game. I mean, for first move of the turn, I went for a Pestigore 1-die blitz on the Tomb Guardian, and it was actually a mistake. I was thinking it was a 2-die hit, and I was like, oh crap, it's a 1-die, but I'd already hit the button, and it worked for me.
That's fair.
Because I was like, that was not the best way to start a turn.
No, not a big deal though. It worked out in your favor, so not a big deal. Okay then, so going away from team specifics, going to Blood Bowl in general then. What do you think is the biggest rookie mistake that you see in the game?
I'm going to say scoring on turn 2.
Okay, quick scoring. Fine. You mean in every situation or in a specific situation?
The game starts, I kick the ball off to them, they score on turn 2, and then I've got 6 turns with a nice Nurgle or Bash team or any team. I've got 6 turns then to equalize in the second half. I think that's the biggest mistake that I see. Maybe that's not even a full rookie mistake, but yeah. And I see a lot of even experienced coaches do that. But I think it's the biggest mistake that they make.
That's interesting. I actually use that as a tactic sometimes, the quick score, because it changes the pace of the game basically. But yeah, if you're not doing it for a reason, I kind of agree with you.
Well, Narian, one of the best Wood Elf coaches, he does that consistently. So, it's not necessarily a rookie mistake.
No, but it can be. I agree. That makes sense. Okay, that's fine. And when you're looking at a new coach, when you're talking to a new coach, if a new coach was asking you how to play, what's the biggest piece of advice that you would give them starting off?
Well, I'm a researcher, so I would say if they have the time, not everybody's the same, I would say watch some streamers, pick a team that you think, and combine playing with, play some, watch some people play, ask some questions, and I think our Tutor League's a great place too. You definitely want to be playing in an environment, in my opinion, where you can have a decent conversation with the person you're playing against while you're playing them. I think you're going to learn the best in that safe environment. And so joining a league, joining the inner circle, these are all great places, because if you just go to the Blood Bowl can be a very frustrating game. And if you're already not knowing what you're doing and then getting trashed and getting bad luck and not knowing, well, is that luck or is that my lack of skill? Not knowing that and having that conversation can really put you in a bad state of mind.
Sure. Yeah, it's something I find as well. As you know, I do this on YouTube now quite a lot, but whenever people watch my videos, they always say something like, I didn't think about that before. And it's usually safe because it's after the game. We've both cooled down and somebody can watch it and take it or leave it, what I say to them. So I'd agree with that. That's good advice.
Yeah, like what you're telling me about the moving too far forward. I had commented that I just feel I have to score. Like, we're tied 0-0, we're tied 1-1. I have to score, and I get scared thinking if I put it off too late, making my push, that I might not score.
Yeah.
And even if it's not necessarily the right move.
Yeah, I mean, we all have these things that our head is telling us to do something, but maybe we shouldn't be doing it, kind of thing. So, yeah, that's something that comes up. But that's good advice. I like it. And last little question in this regard: what do you think makes a coach a great coach as opposed to just a good one?
The ability to effectively do an 8-turn stall.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because that's the biggest issue, at least for me, that I have, is to know what to do on those turns. It all starts probably up until like turn 4, 5, and 6 to really put yourself in position to safely score. I've seen so many streamers, I look and I'm like, okay, I'd be scoring here, I'd score here, I'd score here, and they are able to take those extra 2-3 turns and do it. And a lot of it does involve with having the numbers in position where the ball is. Even if they're able to get a hit on you or do something, you still have a very high likelihood of getting that turn 8 score safely.
Yeah. I'd agree, actually. That's basic. That's basic turn control, though, and I'd agree that is actually the main difference between a good coach and a great coach. Knowing that turn 4, 5, and 6 are the most important turns, basically. So, that's good. I like that answer. Alright then, and the last question that we have then, we are actually coming towards the end of the game as well, so this one is timed out perfectly. Having a look at the tutor lineup, if you have managed to have a look, do you think there is a race that's going to... Sorry, do you think that your race, Dwarves or Nurgle, are going to have a good league or bad one, based on the lineup? And do you think there's a coach you think could really cause you some problems?
Well, I played against Varkin, and he is so solid, and if I hadn't got those early breaks, it would have, the early injuries, KOs, whatever, it could have been bad. Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to any games I could play with Undo 13. He's a great guy. I think I can take advantage of his aggressiveness. Mm-hmm. I think in general, with a few exceptions, the coaches in the inner circle are a little outside the box.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And I would call that a weakness, and I'm hoping to exploit that with very solid, very conservative play. I do believe that there is a best way to play Blood Bowl, and it is the conservative way. And I'm hoping to master that and then to use that to my advantage. I have not mastered that yet, and I still, in my ultra conservativeness, I guess you would say too far, like, I haven't completely mastered, like, the 8 turn stall, and I get a little scared and I push the ball a little too forward, or I possibly get a little too aggressive on defense when probably holding back and being a little bit more confident is better. I think Nurgle is probably... So I disagree with Varkin. Varkin thinks Nurgle has a much higher view of early Nurgle than I do. I think early Nurgle is terrible, and you really have to use every strength that you have and every part of your team to be competitive. And so I would say just about every team except for maybe Kimry is going to have an edge. But I'm hoping to get some skill ups to play a good game and to do what I can and start getting a skill team up so I can push it from there. But it's a great team to learn from. I mean, you get punished for every mistake you make with Nurgle, and so it's great to really learn and get better with that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think it's true about Dwarves as well, actually, especially with positioning. If you make a positioning mistake with Dwarves, then you're going to get punished.
Oh, definitely. A Dwarf team doesn't protect the ball. Yeah, that's the big... as long as you can protect the ball with Dwarves, if you do that one thing, protect the ball, you have a chance to win every game, no matter your skill level, just by the fact that you're throwing a lot of 2-die blocks with block skill.
Yeah. Okay. I think you're the last tutor I'm actually sitting down and talking to, so I'm going to give a little bit at the end here where I just want to say that having played every single tutor now, having spoken to every single tutor, I don't think there is an easy game in our 8-man setup. There's definitely not an easy coach to play against. All of the tutors are actually fantastic. They are some of the best guys. We're missing a couple of the best guys, but in general, all of our best guys from the league are in the tutor lineup, so it's going to be a rough old league, I think, personally. But yeah, you've answered all my questions. So with that, Mint, sorry, Pixxiedust, you wanted to be called. My apologies. With that, Pixxiedust, I'm glad that you.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, but still, you're Mint on Discord. That's why I always call you Mint. But Pixxiedust, that's fine. So thank you for sitting down with me. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Same.
That's good, and I look forward to having a rematch with you. Hopefully, this time I'll actually.
Definitely.
This time, hopefully, I'll get to actually play orcs and give you a real battle. Should be fun.
Yeah, orcs are always a tough matchup.
That they are. Though you never know, we may meet each other in steel, in silver, anywhere. It's all possible. But yeah, yeah, I'm going to leave it here then. So special thanks to my guest Pixxiedust who sat down with me. Thank you for everybody who has been watching. I'll let Pixxiedust say goodbye, and then I'll say goodbye.
Goodbye. I hope to see all of you in future matches.
That's good. Yeah, thanks guys for watching. I look forward to seeing you all on the pitch and Discord, etc. One thing I always say I didn't say, if you do want to speak to Pixxiedust, myself, or any of the other tutors, just send us a message. We're always open to answering questions. We're always happy to talk about Blood Bowl because we love the game so much. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all soon. May Nuffle smile on you all. Bye bye.